they could not have expected, nor would they have wished to see as much of the mad and macabre as they were to see that day. For them, an idyllic summer afternoon drive became a nightmare.
Hello and welcome to tonight's episode of Real Horror Show. Tonight I'm joined by Howlin' Dowling.
Oh, hey everybody, how's it going? Conor Dowling, Howlin' Dowling in the house.
Are we actually keeping this intro?
What was wrong with the intro?
It was beautiful. I'm Mark Sheridan.
And I'm Ali Horror.
Great.
And you're Conor McMahon.
And I'm Conor McMahon.
No.
I said that already.
Mac Mayhem.
What's your Instagram handle?
Conor.McMahon.
Yeah, Conor, are you on Instagram?
I've started on Instagram now.
We suggest people follow.
I've done about 5 posts.
Would you call them hits? Are you going viral?
9 likes, I believe.
Are you getting any good hash browns
I'm
in
gonna
there?
look them up right now. One was a curly whirly, which was definitely my favorite.
No, let's stay on point.
Yes,
We're
let's
doing
stay on
horror
point.
movies.
Okay.
Hashtag Conor.McMahon9 on Instagram. So
I don't know my handle on Instagram, but follow me too.
See Dowling.
Let's talk about horror. We've
Let's
got
talk
an
about
hour.
horror.
Let's
jump right in.
jump in. What do we want to jump into?
We've got some big ones to talk about, but will we save our big ones kind of till a little bit later on? We'll build up to the...
Depends how long we ran for them.
Sure.
Is there anything particular? Yeah, if you got small news, we can.
Well,
do.
obviously we want to talk about Pet Sematary, but I think people would like to get a bit of anticipation for that, you know.
Okay, that's going to be
They're
the
gonna
biggie.
feel my anger.
Yeah, they're going to feel it
Throughout.
brewing as the episode
My
goes on.
breathing will get
Yeah.
intensively
Okay,
more.
I'm going to start off with Ted Bundy, the movie.
Are we talking
haven't
about
seen it.
Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and
Yes.
Vile, the Zac Efron, directed by Joe Berlinger?
Exactly.
Let's talk about that.
Let's
Haven't
talk about
seen
that.
it.
Is that on
I
Netflix?
read the
It's
script.
on
Okay.
Sky and it's in the cinemas, so it was a
okay.
day-on-day release.
Yeah.
Right.
So I haven't seen it, but
Have
I
not
read
seen
the
it. Want to see it,
script
but...
You've seen it?
prior
I've seen it.
Okay.
to production.
Had
I
people
haven't
seen the documentary?
Yes.
No.
Are we talking about the Ted Bundy
'Cause
tapes?
it's the same
that-
director.
yeah,
Yes.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same
So
director.
Joe
Yeah.
Berlinger, is it Berlinger?
Not sure.
Whichever.
I
You
don't
know,
pronounce names.
an amazing documentary filmmaker
Yes.
who did the 3 Paradise Lost films.
Oh,
Wasn't it
yeah.
Paradise Lost?
wow,
brilliant
okay.
ones, and obviously some kind of monster, the Metallica film.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously Blair Witch 2 on the fictional side of
Blair,
things.
Blair Witch 2.
Book of Shadows.
Yes,
As we know,
okay.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
No, it's terrible.
So it's you know he's had a mixture of these kind of things. He also what else did he do? It doesn't matter. But this is his attempt to he released the Ted Bundy tapes documentary on Netflix.
Attempt is
Yeah.
a good word.
Yeah.
I
Do you
feel-
want to even actually give I presume people know who Ted Bundy is, but do you want to give even just a very basic introduction to?
Well, Ted Bundy, serial killer, celebrity serial killer.
One of
Charismatic.
the worst.
Handsome.
One of the most
Charismatic.
Yeah.
infamous, charismatic.
Deborah
Yeah.
Harry was in his car. She escaped
No way.
death. Yes.
Like
That's
as
a
in
little
the
factoid.
Debbie Harry.
As in Blonde.
no,
Yeah.
no way.
I mean, I think what made him particularly popular was it was the courtroom was filmed.
Yes.
You know,
The first,
that
I
was
think,
the first
was the
one,
first
yeah.
major
Yeah,
court
Yeah.
case publicized.
which was like, I mean, I thought the documentary was very impressive.
Same,
Even
yeah.
though it didn't focus a huge amount on the lost tapes, but the story of Ted Bundy is pretty
it was
interesting.
it was
Yeah.
nothing we hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
We didn't know, but it was done in like
Yeah, and all those bits you thought, wow, I'd love to see them reenacted. And then you watch the film and they kind of skip over all the interesting parts.
And also the bits that you've seen in the documentary in a way, almost seeing the documentary probably took away from the film in the sense that, like, things that look really authentic, you feel them trying to recreate it and not
Yeah.
succeeding in a way
There was
that
a few scenes where you could feel even Zac Efron's mannerisms were basically he was just trying to copy
copy
a
the
video
guy.
footage. he'd
Yeah,
seen.
yeah. I mean, overall with the film, I thought what I thought was interesting about the film was that it didn't show any of the murders. I suppose it tried to take this angle on it. Now, I'm not saying whether that was a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah,
I'd
like you to make a statement on that, but go on.
My big problem with the film was, first of all, I felt that it tried to focus on, say, the relationship between him and his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I actually thought that was really weak. Like, as in, when that's the core of your movie, and it's almost like, you know, when a film forces into, oh, we love each other, but I haven't seen any scene.
They don't actually try and establish why it's important to see it from this perspective at all. I felt no sympathy for the... So basically, Ted Bundy had a somewhat long-term girlfriend. Or, wait, did he get married to her? And,
He did in
he
court.
did.
no, that was a different
that was a
woman,
different
actually.
woman, yeah.
Oh, was
But
it?
he, you know, he was connected with this woman, and at the same time he was going off and he was doing these incredibly brutal murders. And there was a time where she kind of believed that maybe he was being set up, and he wasn't. Well, we presume he wasn't. But the film, from what I heard, actually, the original script, when people read it, said it was really interesting because
Yeah.
it was all just about this guy called Ted, and it was only halfway through you realise that she's actually going out with Ted Bundy. Now, I understand from a marketing point of view why you kind of have to push the facts about Ted Bundy, but the film would have had a lot more impact if there was this question going through of who's this poor guy, is he being set up, how strange is this?
Yes.
But there are no questions like that in this film at all. Like, and I thought, if you're going to avoid the murders, which I think is a terrible thing to do, but if you are going to avoid it, you've got to show me and make me really believe that the version that the public saw of Ted Bundy was so charismatic, so charming, that you can understand why people questioned whether this guy could do those killings.
Yeah.
The film never made me question that.
Ali.
Question from Ali?
It's not really a question, it's more of a statement. So I worked for a production company that made that film, and that's the end of my statement.
It's
that's
a-
why it
Whoa.
is. That's why.
Do you have any insights? Any?
Can I have your autograph?
No, it's like, so Voltage are obviously like they make super marketable films.
They're like
That's
the biggest
their-
independent
that's their
production company in
main
Hollywood.
thing. One of them, yeah, definitely one of them. And the script I read when it just came into us from development, and it was really interesting. Obviously, being the in-house like horror nerd,
Yeah.
they were like, "Here, Ali, read this." I loved it. And at that point, Zac Efron was not attached to it.
Sure.
Kind of love that he is, because he is that
Yeah.
you know.
It's a handsome dude.
He was squandered in the film, but yeah, he could
I
have been
felt he was
brilliant.
kind of annoying in the film.
Yeah, but I think he could have done a great job. Sorry, anyway, Ali, carry
Oh
on.
no, not at all. But so I think that when you're looking at it from like it being a good film, they're thinking about it in terms of the wider general audiences
Yeah.
and what's marketable and what's, rather than actually considering horror fans or
Yeah.
considering genre fans or considering,
It's a strange one though, because like I understand it going straight to Sky, and it was an ITV that I saw it on. Like, it makes sense. It's a TV movie, and that's fine. But I think if I'd gone to the cinema and I'd paid 15, 16, 17 euro to see this, you'd be horrified, because none of the scenes have any kind of. There's nothing gelling them together, connecting them. It's like a bunch of bits.
That's what it felt like. Like it felt
totally incoherent.
Totally. I really had this feeling about the thing. And it was like badly edited, I thought, as well. Like it would be like, even the documentary, say a scene that, a real life scene that was filmed from one camera, it's like he had 7 cameras shooting the thing, no sense of, and there was a scene, it was like they were trying to do, in Silence of the Lambs, where they do this thing where they talk to camera.
Yes.
Now, if you watch Silence of the Lambs, they slowly build to that from wider shots into close-ups, and then they end on tighter shots. This, it would be like, it would go to the tighter shots, then go to a wide shot, then go to a shot from the ceiling, then it was like there's no
no rhyme or reason,
coherency. Yeah,
There's no one behind the camera actually telling you the story. The camera didn't feel like it was actually narratively building to anything. It was just, here you can see it happening.
Yes, yeah.
And like I understand again the approach. If you're trying to make us like Ted Bundy, to have that kind of confusing notion about him, fine. But by skipping all the murders, and I actually thought the documentary did a bad job on this as well, is his crimes, particularly of all the serial killers out there, were incredibly brutal. Like just truly disgusting and appalling and animalistic. And by skipping them away, there's this notion that the charm and charisma of this guy is all we're interested in. Now, if you show me both of them, if you make me like him when I see him in public, and then I see this guy being monstrous, that's something that's disturbing and makes us kind of question. But by not showing them at all, I was pretty amazed. There's a couple of shots of real footage in it, and we'll get on to another film later on that did a similar thing.
That's the same production company.
Is it? Which is The Haunting of Sharon Tate. And we'll talk about that, or I will angrily rant about it in a few minutes.
And again, so they Voltage are, because they're a sales company, they very much have like a firm hand in the edit. They do have a lot of say when it comes to it, and again, they're trying to make it as commercial and marketable
I have
as
a question
possible.
in relation to that. Like, when I saw this Ted Bundy movie coming out, my first kind of question, and I think it's the question that a lot of producers ask when a script is brought to them.
Mm-hmm.
The first question looking at it was, why now? Like, why are we getting a Ted Bundy film now when I feel like there was a Ted Bundy film in the noughties that I
There
saw?
was, and actually, it was a much better version, I think.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a perfect film, but it actually did a much better job at telling the truthful story of
kind of going
of
like
this man.
it's almost 2020. Why are we making a movie about this guy when it feels like we've already explored him so much in?
I mean, I'm not sure. I know, like, if like there's this kind of zeitgeist when you're working in development, you'll notice that you get a lot of scripts, and like we had 2 or 3 Ted Bundy scripts in. The same with like H.H. Holmes.
Yeah.
It just, you know, I don't know what it is in the, you know, someone
No, it comes around.
and
There's a lot of people listening to like true crime podcasts and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I mean, I read that script back in 2014, 2015.
Yeah, it was a bit ago there.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So like it just, you know, obviously they have to come through developmental and in the States and everything, and then
by the time it gets made, it's
you know it's which, and that's why there's that's why, you know, there was 2 LBJs. I know that's not horror, but it's why there's always kind of very similar things out at the same time. I don't understand why.
Sure.
Whether it's people are feeding each other their information, going, "Oh, that sounds like a good movie," and then they go to separate production companies and go into development with them. I don't know.
Or is it a collective conscionsness kind of thing?
I think it could be a collective consciousness.
The only thing is because I get like that, you know, they go for the marketability side of things.
We're really smart.
Oh my god, we're hipsters!
But you know, when you're looking at something where you're kind of going like, obviously it's easy to sell. We've got a serial killer. He's charismatic. We get Zac Efron involved. Like, it's an easy sell. I get that. And so from a business point of view, I'm like, absolutely, make a film about Ted Bundy. What I don't understand is if you know you're going to sell X amount of units regardless of what you do, then why are you afraid to actually do something with the video? They're going to go and see the movie anyway. So you can actually be a bit braver. Like, you know, the ones that stand out the test of time, whether they are Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, whether they are, I think Jim Van Weber's Charlie's Family or the Manson Family, I think was releases afterwards, like incredibly disturbing film. And they go the violent side. You can go on the, you know, the less kind of brutal side as well, but you definitely got to do something. And like you're saying with the cameras, like, it just felt to me like the guy wasn't that interested in telling any particular story about it.
Because they didn't want to make Zac Efron, who is their moneymaker, their face, their bod. They didn't want to make him
too bad.
Which is frustrating because that feels almost like it would be the point of having, like, you know, a teen heartthrob growing up playing a dark character.
I know, I love those
like having
memes.
some
It was a great
stuff
opportunity
like,
to do something interesting. Yeah,
it's like Elijah Wood in Maniac or something.
Totally. Or Daniel Radcliffe in everything he did after Harry Potter.
For anyone who hasn't seen Maniac, the remake of Maniac, I gotta say, watch that film. Or if you haven't seen it in a while, rewatch it, because I watched it again a couple of months ago, and I think it's really strong.
Yeah, I mean, I love the original Maniac.
Me too.
I have a soft
It's
spot
different.
for that
That's
one.
got a real rawness to it.
Yeah, that is true.
But so from the 2 of the 4 Real Horror Show things, I think it's a thumbs down for extremely.
But
I can't remember the title.
Still want to see it because I was.
Would you say it's worth a watch? Like,
no, I actually honestly wouldn't.
Say avoid.
But like,
I thought it was bad.
Yeah,
I thought it was bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was bored.
I'm not surprised.
I wasn't
I'm genuinely not
enticed
surprised
to watch it.
I'm amazed it got a proper cinema release though, considering how bad it is. But yeah, documentaries are
Voltage are very good at their jobs. Again, Zac Efron is a moneymaker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and he isn't too bad in it. Just the script isn't good, but I think he could have been a pretty good Ted Bundy. Well, the version
let's be honest, he's pretty easy on the eyes. Am I right, fellas? Am I right? Anyway.
And I'm loving those memes about
What memes?
the High School Musical, and like there's like one where, you know, Zac Efron puts like a T because his name is Troy in High School Musical, and he puts it around.
You don't need to tell me his name.
Oh, Saws. No, but it makes sense because then it has like the top panel, and then the second part of the panel is like her going, "What does the T stand for?" Troy. And he's like, "No, Ted."
Love
love it.
That is dark.
Saws.
Let's keep this horror focused.
Yeah, Saws.
Okay. What else?
I saw a film. I saw 2 films. On the weekend, I watched Escape Room. Has anyone seen that?
There's
That's
2 escape rooms, but the
Voltage movie as well.
Oh my god!
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Wow, is this a conflict of interest? Are you?
I'm starting to feel like
Is this the Adam Robitel one, the guy who directed Insidious IV?
Yes, it is.
Because I actually just watched that, so I want to talk about that afterwards.
Right. Okay.
Ahead.
Cool. Which I haven't seen Insidious
Escape
movies yet. But Escape Room, it's basically. Has anyone else seen it? No? It's basically like one of these, I don't know how you describe it, but it's kind of like it would be in the same category as like your Final Destination kind of films, or like those kind of like films that are just based on like a kind of in vogue concept. So I guess like, you know, escape rooms were really popular there last year, the year before, and someone was like, oh, let's make a horror movie out of this, you know? So it's one of those movies that you can watch and sit through to the end just because the concept will kind of keep you moving along through the story. But I suppose the execution of it isn't great. It's like 5 or 6 people who are brought to this elite escape room that's the, like, you know, the most immersive escape room out there, and they're like a motley crew of people who don't know each other, and they're competing for the chance to win 10 grand. Which seems like such a weak prize. There's even like a hotshot business guy who's like, you know, that 10 grand's gonna be mine. It's like, just get a loan, you know. But it doesn't have many familiar faces in it, except for 2 actors whose names I looked up and can't remember. But one, she played Jessica in True Blood. She's also in Daredevil.
Oh yeah, very good.
Deborah Ann Wall, that's it. She's fantastic. She's great and she's good in the film. And then this other guy who was in that TV show called Reaper, the beardy guy. He's kind of like, yeah. Well, those are the only 2 kind of familiar faces, kind of more so TV actors. The rest didn't know any of them.
Was it any good?
It was. I'd give it like a 5 out of 10. So
was it 5 out of 10 throughout, or were you like, for the first 45 minutes you're like, I'm in, this is good, and then
no, it was the other way around. I was kind of going, no, I don't know about this, I don't know, and then it kind of hooked me in as the film went on, and I started to enjoy it a bit more. The thing I think it lacked, which is something I would kind of never really say about a film, is there wasn't enough gore. You know what I mean? There was like all of these like things where people are being like smushed or falling down a thing, and it would cut away just before they die. Like, you know what I mean? It felt like it could have done with a little bit of that thing like Saw or Final Destination, where you just have this really over the top kind of death.
Spread the red.
Yeah, exactly. You know?
Was it like Cube at all? Like, I remember watching the trailer.
That's one of the things. I thought it was kind of like a bit of a Cube meets Saw kind of vibe, except obviously not as dark as Saw. And then they're just going through these elaborate escape rooms and realizing, oh shit, this is real. And then they find out, like Saw, that they've all been kind of brought there because they have some sort of thing in common from their past. It's a bit of fun. It is a bit of fun. It's not amazing.
Happy 3-star.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's just. I feel like it could have been a lot better. You know, but I do like those films that just kind of work off a concept like that, and when they deliver, they're really satisfying. The other film I watched was on Netflix. It was a film called The Silence. Has anyone seen The Silence?
Oh, is this the cheap rip-off of Bird Box, which was the cheap rip-off of A
Stanley
Quiet Place?
Yeah. Stanley Tucci and
I love him,
that
though.
girl,
It's a terrible
from
Mad Men and Sabrina
Mad Men.
Yeah.
It's a very kind of shameless kind of rip-off of A Quiet Place. Like,
what is Stanley Tucci doing in that movie?
But was it in production before? Like,
the book was written before A Quiet Place, but the film was not in production.
But okay, where does Bird Box come into all of that?
Bird Box is a book.
Bird Box is a better film than The Silence.
True.
But A Quiet Place is by far vastly superior to all of them. But
the problem with when you're watching Silence, you're kind of going, it's just reminding you of how good A Quiet Place is. You're kind of going like, Jesus, like, I actually appreciate A Quiet Place more after watching The Silence.
It's so lazy.
It is, and it just feels like, you know, they're all talking to each other all the time. Yes. Like, all the time. Well, every now and again, they do a bit of
the rules don't make sense, because, like, it starts off where they're, like, escaping the attack of these kind of... It's not really a spoiler to say that the creatures in this are sort of flying bat-like creatures that attack. But they're inside their car, which is crashed in the woods, and even coughing within your car is enough to have a mass attack.
Yeah.
And then later on, they're having a fist fight outside, and the creatures are all around them but don't hear them.
Lots of inconsistencies.
I was going to say, are they doing it in like absolute silence?
There's a hint once or twice where they kind of go, oh yeah, we'll be real quiet. It's so inconsistent.
Totally.
That way.
And it feels like it's borrowed a lot from things like The Walking Dead as well, where it has this kind of post-apocalyptic vibe. And one of the
you gotta have the cult.
The cult.
You gotta have the cult.
That feels very Walking
Literally
Dead.
3 days after this invasion has started, a cult has already formed itself that cuts off its tongues and is now trying to recruit more people. It is
I'm so
unbelievable.
old.
And one of the things that really frustrated me at the start was, you know, the way in these post-apocalyptic movies, usually there's some sort of flash of exposition on the news saying, you know, downtown is blackout and there's people riding in the streets. There was like a 5-minute news report explaining everything with, like, you know, user footage of people like hiding in their cars saying, be quiet, don't make a sound, and all this stuff. So they were like, that we're being told that the animals are attracted to the sound, you know, so they're like just laying down all the rules in this one news report. And then there's lots of stuff that just feels very kind of done out of convenience, like when the son goes in the uncle's car and then suddenly they swap cars and then the uncle crashes and you're like, oh, they just did that so they could get the son out of the car.
Yeah,
you know,
it's very by mechanics.
it really is.
Like, Bird Box has flaws, but I thought it was a decent attempt. There's some pretty good stuff.
My
in Bird
mom
Box.
liked it. It was a quiet
huge
place for
hit.
mums.
A huge hit for a lot of people who aren't crazy
Awesome
horror
hit.
fans,
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
So I think it's a cheap man's quiet place, but that's still a good enough film. This is definitely not. It's quite surprising to think that Netflix are bothering their ass with something such poor. Like, I think they're in very serious danger of damaging that potential reputation they have of being people who are doing edgier, braver stuff. This is definitely not it.
Definitely.
Like,
Well, it really just does feel like, oh, Quiet Place was popular. Let's do something else like it.
and we've already had Bird Box, which is a Netflix movie, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the weird part of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So and that director as well, serious experience behind the camera as a DOP. Like, I
what
was
did
looking
they
through his
do? I can't remember.
filmography. Like, he basically everything from the 90s. He was like.
I think I
DOP
remember because I
on.
remember being appalled because the film does not look good.
No, it doesn't.
Now I know.
Did he DP it as
No,
well?
he
No,
didn't,
but
but
you'd
you'd
imagine as a
expect.
director you'd have some
Yeah.
appreciation
You
that
would
what you're
expect
seeing there.
that, like, you know.
So yeah, I feel this week's going to be a somewhat negative week, folks. But we're
What about
light
Us?
a candle
Has anyone seen
afterwards.
Us?
Oh, did we talk about that last time?
I don't think
or
we
no?
talked about it
No, I
last
don't think we
podcast.
did.
What are we
and that's
talking about?
Us.
Oh, the movie. I was like, you're talking about
Let's
us.
talk about ourselves.
I was like, we've already done that, Connor.
Ali, we've got you here today. Yeah, actually, let's have a quick chat about us. It's a
Can I
very
go
hard one
first?
without spoiling. Ali, go for it and try not to ruin it for people who haven't seen it.
I loved it. I loved it. That was
I
very
went to the
loud. I'm
cinema
so sorry.
with a group of people who hated it, and I was like, "Wasn't that amazing, guys?" They're like,
I
"That
know.
was shit."
I couldn't. Connor and I went to go see Saws. Everybody. Connor and I went. I invited y'all.
We were invited.
Yeah.
I was busy.
Yeah.
Me and
Anyway,
Mark were busy.
We were busy.
Not together.
But like I really came out of that, and I went into it, and I went into it quite, again going, oh, there's so much hype about it, like it's not going to pay off, it's not going to be like an actual proper horror film, and I came out with my jaw on the floor. I'm not going to say that it was perfect. It had a lot of issues. But in terms of the horror genre, it was near perfect. I think it paid off. There was a like. It was massive tattooed, like, biker lady sat beside me who literally had her like knees in her mouth, shitting herself.
Could you smell the shit?
whole gross. Wish I could.
That's how you know it's a good movie.
But that for me is when you look to your left or you look to your right and you see the audience is engaging with a horror. That's a horror. And also the soundtrack is incredible.
Oh,
Michael
yeah,
Abel,
soundtrack
like
was
great.
that dance sequence at the end. Meh.
Oh,
I mean
yes.
meh as in like, ugh,
Well,
so good.
yeah,
Nicely done.
I really liked it. I think the greatest thing about Jordan Peele is for the first time in quite a while, I'm excited to see a film when it's coming out. Whether I think it's the greatest film or not, it's great. You're actually kind of going, I really want to see what this guy's going to do with it. I think I can understand why some people didn't like it as much. I do think it's in a way better than Get Out. It tries for much higher things. I think.
Can we high five?
No,
Can
we
we
can't
do a
because poor
devil's
Stephen.
threesome high five? There you go.
The problem with that is by going for such, he's obviously trying to do the difficult second album for like a band.
Yeah.
Is he's trying to do the big stuff, and I don't think all of it
I know what you
lands.
mean.
I do think the dance thing at the end, which I think it looks great, but I think it is borderline pretentious a little bit. He just threw that there
Do
was
you
no,
think?
well, there was no fit for it.
See,
It just looked cool, but there was no real direct
There
tie for me.
was. It was because horror is all about sound and it's all about music.
Yeah,
and
but you
it-
can't
and
introduce ballet
movement.
just all of a sudden.
But
at the
But no,
end.
but she was a dancer. Like,
yeah, but it was not a. There,
was-
there
it-
had to be more of that beforehand to really earn that spot towards the end.
no,
I think.
I don't agree with
I
that.
feel like it was set up nicely. It was
Yeah.
set up earlier on when they said, oh, she needs to express herself more through they recommended like through dance, and I guess that she spent her time dancing her
You're
ass
guessing
off.
though. You see, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
But I like to guess, and I think that
If I'd even
that-
seen her rehearsing a little bit before, so I don't know. That bit lost. And again, visually, there's a lot of stuff later on there that's very strong, striking images. But I
Well-
kind of think some of it was in there just because he thought that's going to be a strong, striking image, as opposed to.
But see, I think he thought of it more like if you look at interviews with him, he is like us. He is a horror nerd true and true, and
absolutely.
he made a horror film that he wanted to watch, and that's what I love. Like that's
Oh,
what
I agree.
why
Yeah, I wish there
think-
was more films like it.
Right,
There's no question.
right?
Yeah.
So I think, the metaphor, I'm not going to spoil it, but the metaphor thing at the ending, like that for me was a bit like, that was the pretentious moment. But before that, the dancing, everything I thought was
For me, it was like, what I liked about it as well was,
horror.
you know, the way you're kind of used to a lot of, probably like the horror film you're talking about there, the escape room.
Yeah.
And you kind of have a sense almost at the beginning of where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I love being in a horror film where you're suddenly, I don't know where I am.
Yeah.
You sort of
And
have to just sit back and just say, this
Yeah.
is going to happen.
And that's what puts me on edge, when you're kind of disorientated or you're in a world where you feel like anything could happen. Like, you
Yeah.
kind of have a sense of like, you know, it's not just, okay, I'm going to watch how these 5 people die.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
exactly.
And I hadn't seen the trailer, so I had no idea.
Yeah,
what was
I
going on.
thankfully I had forgotten a lot of the trailer because I went back and watched the trailer afterwards and I was like, oh shit, the trailer gives away so many amazing moments. But when I was in the cinema and I was watching it, and you know, without spoilers, everyone should know that the doppelganger family show up and we realize the family are in the house. It's scary. They come into the house and I was like, oh, so is this it now? Is this just going to be like a home invasion
Which
film?
is what I figured, yeah.
For
Yeah.
the next hour or so, and I was kind of a little bit disappointed. But then it just went off into all these different directions,
Yeah.
and the world was so much bigger.
It does have
the
one of the most
thing,
iconic
like-
lines in horror films in the last decade, definitely, that scene when the family come into the house and have a conversation.
We're American.
But just the way she talks,
And so many people hated that too.
Yeah.
performance.
Yeah, I thought it was cheesy.
And like I'm sorry,
That's an
I'm
iconic
harping
scene.
on
That is
about
an
the
iconic
music, but like just her,
Yeah.
none of y'all can see me doing it, but I'm doing the finger things on my face,
Yeah.
like horrifying. I think that was an absolutely outstanding female horror performance.
Yeah.
like blown
Lupita
away by it.
Nyong'o, am I right?
Lupita,
Yeah.
yeah,
Nyong'o, I
I don't pronounce last names very well. I'm sorry.
The not to segue into Pet Sematary just yet,
No,
but
no.
there were 2 things I thought us did great
Okay.
that I thought Pet Sematary failed at.
Hit me.
Well, the 2 was just like the conversation in the car at the start,
Yep.
and us.
Yeah,
Real-
really
real
made
chats.
me. Yeah, it felt like real chats, kind of funny, like genuinely funny. Whereas like the Pet Sematary felt like, again, like I was watching some film. I know it's a remake probably, but the dialogue was just so boring. It's
was.
just like, oh hey, we're going to this new house. How far away is it? It's going to be another 8 hours. Really? Like
Yeah.
it's just bad.
It was literally like
Terrible.
they had only
Bad.
read the script a week before.
Yeah.
Is what it felt like.
Just
Sorry, Jason
to
Clark.
mention one more thing about us, right? A lot of people who I talked to who didn't like it, their problem with it, and maybe you guys' experience if you talked to anyone about it, was that they felt like that it wasn't explained enough at the end, like as if
It probably could have done with it. Like, I'm not sure it ties together.
I know what you mean. Like, but people were like, oh, but like, what was this whole underworld and
Yeah.
where did all these like doppelgangers come from and all this stuff? I don't think it really mattered.
Oh,
No,
Connor,
that part,
I
yeah.
love you right now. Oh my god.
I don't think
it didn't matter.
I don't think it really mattered as much. I think they did a bit of explanation,
Yeah.
and I felt satisfied with that. I
Right,
was like,
it was-
okay,
you-
I feel
you
like
got
you're
paid
explaining a
off.
bit too much to me now, but I'll take that, and that's fine,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll just let let myself enjoy that experience. But a lot of people I talked to were like, no, the mythology of it just doesn't like
See,
line
it's,
up.
It's,
like, you
it's
know?
my issue again. Sorry.
Don't say
Hipsters.
the H word.
But like it is this pretension towards it.
I'm not
and
even
it's-
sure that's a hipster thing, though. It's a general, because you're right. Like,
everyone thinks they're a film snob now, and
Yeah.
they think that they can critique films in this kind of manner. And
Yeah. And they're not us.
any-
well, they're not us, but like I think us, like honestly, and I think it's really important, really important for everybody, like to not devalue someone's experience with a film. And I think that a lot of the conversations I had when it came to us, people were like, "But you're wrong." Because Jordan Peele and because he did Get Out and because it was such an amazing cultural phenomenon. You're wrong. And I was like, no, I am not wrong. And you are not wrong.
They're the ones who are wrong. Oh,
no,
sorry.
No
Okay.
one's
Fuck.
wrong, but it's important to not devalue somebody's like experience. Film is so individual.
Agreed. If
So
someone
it's
else loved it, then that's perfect. Or if they hate
Exactly.
it, that's fine. But yeah, the need to say that someone else can't have their feelings about it. I don't really mind whether people loved or hated
Exactly.
it. My problem with the hate side of it is when people come in with that logic where they start pulling things apart and they're saying, yeah, but what about this? Where they've spent way too long trying to think about the logistics of one
And
particular
they've
point.
missed the film.
It's nonsense. Like, are you going to go after fucking Alien next? And just go, I
Exactly.
just don't think the gestation period
Yeah.
makes sense to me. Like,
Exactly.
you're going to have to, like, and I do expect a certain amount
Sure, of
of
course.
logic or rules.
Of course, yeah,
And
yeah.
possibly us may have straddled that line for some
Yeah.
it was enough, some it wasn't.
Yeah.
But this notion of pulling things down to micro factors and saying, well, that's the bit that doesn't make sense,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Oh, come
It's
on.
almost
I know.
as well. It's been more intellectual than emotional about the thing. Like
Yes.
for me,
Yeah,
I
us is
enjoyed
much more
the
emotional than
experience.
logical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%,
like it's
100%.
like sure you can pull it apart, but it's like, and if someone asked me now, could I explain all the hand holding across at the end? I can't, but I like the image.
I know. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is. It's a very
image.
strong. And that's what's great about it. It
Yeah.
is. That's impactful. And actually, that bit did get me when they play the music with it. I was
Totally.
like,
The music was
Yeah.
that was an iconic piece of cinema. I thought.
Yeah,
I thought
right.
that
No,
was like
definitely.
Jordan Peele was really pulling out all the stops on this film.
Yeah.
And he was really, like you said about having that kind of second album thing. I felt like he was really going a lot.
He was, and that's the best thing. He was going for something, as
Yeah.
opposed to playing it safe and just doing a get out
doing
too.
an escape room
Exactly.
film that you don't know what's going to happen in it. Like, you know.
Exactly.
But I like more films like us would be great.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yes,
that is
please.
what we want, especially because when we
100%.
talk about Pet Sematary and a few of the other ones, I'm just going to run through.
Yeah, run through the other ones
There's a
first.
serious
because I'm
problem.
angry.
Go on.
I'll just.
No, go on.
Are we finished on the?
No,
us
go.
thing?
Yeah, yeah.
We're
Oh,
still
no,
talking about us.
Well, I was just going to stick on the Jordan Peele topic of
Yeah.
Twilight Zone.
I love him. Oh yeah, I still haven't seen
Have you
it.
watching it?
I only
Has
watched.
it started? I didn't even
Yeah,
realize. Okay.
it's out now. I've only watched one,
Okay.
and I did have a slight issue with it.
Sure. Was this the first episode?
No, I watched the second one with the plane.
Okay, sure.
And I know people were saying it's a good one. Do you know my problem with it was? It was like it was filmed like it was weird, like as in.
They wanted it to be weird, like.
Yeah, like, do you know what I mean? It's obviously, it's the Twilight Zone. So everything was like wide angles, low angles, like everything about how it was shot said it was weird.
Gotcha.
And like, I thought the episode was fine, like, but I just thought they were laying on heavy, that it's almost like the weirdness of the story and the weirdness of the camera was an overload of weirdness. Whereas the Twilight Zone, when I remember watching them,
It was always very straight.
it almost felt like a straight drama, and slowly the weirdness just came out of it.
Absolutely.
It wasn't like it's weird, you know. And I felt, now I can't really speak about the whole season, so I mean I hear it was kind of hit and miss.
I've been watching the whole thing. I watched the most recent episode today, and you know, like, I'm a fucking massive Twilight Zone fan, so I was really looking forward to this. It has been a bit hit and miss. Overall, I've enjoyed like pretty much every episode. You know, I've taken something from it. But my problem with it kind of is not so much about what you're talking about. I see what you're talking about, but my problem with it is more so in the fact that he's, you know, when Jordan Peele set out making films, he was saying like, I want to use horror and genre films to talk about social issues, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine, and that works sometimes. And
well,
the
it
Twilight
does
Zone
work.
always did have like a little kind of like
Always.
social
Yeah.
commentary going
It's
on.
like a fable, an Aesop's fable. There was
Literally,
a-
yeah.
But it
yeah.
wasn't really the focus, right? And so in some of these episodes in the new season, there's one or two in particular I can think of. It's almost borderline after school, especially like leaning towards the end, where it's just like someone just kind of like sums up like, well, you know,
Well, kids.
this is the moral of this particular story, as opposed to just letting the story illustrate the point, you know. And they're putting the point and the theme, like they're kind of hitting you over the head with it a little bit, I feel.
Okay.
I've been watching it with my girlfriend as well, and the two of us, there have been a few episodes that have just kind of ended and we've been like, oh, I feel like they were kind of like forcing this kind of like moral on me, as opposed to just letting me kind of like there haven't been any episodes that have ended like the old school Twilight Zone that end and you just go like, whoa, holy shit, that really
But is
hit me,
is it as audiences we're now, because obviously we've had, you know, Black Mirror and you know that has obviously that's like the modern age,
Totally.
you know.
it's
Twilight
been, it's
Zone,
been compared a lot to Black Mirror.
So is it that we are, as viewers, we're kind of where we want more, or I mean I don't know, like what is it that
it could be like, I mean,
what
I know
the
when
issue
the
is.
first couple episodes of Twilight Zone came out, I did read an article where people were saying like, oh, it's like it's the best episode of the new Twilight Zone is like the worst episode of Black Mirror.
Wow.
You know? Which I think is very unfair. You know what I mean?
You were always going to go up against that, though.
It's
You can't,
always,
you know.
even though without the Twilight Zone there'd be no Black Mirror. Like, you know what I mean? They're
Exactly.
kind of like,
Exactly.
you know, I don't think it should be. I think Black Mirror has this really kind of like dark, kind of nasty kind of tone, whereas the Twilight Zone was always more like escapist,
It was a
imaginative,
comic book. It was
mystery,
sci-fi, yeah.
you know,
You know,
sci-fi.
some of those episodes of Twilight Zone devastated me back in the day.
True.
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
That one with
they-
the guy with the glasses. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah. But there was time now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think they should be compared. They should be compared like that. But
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's just, it hasn't really been that satisfying. This
Boo earns.
season.
I still want to watch it. I haven't seen
and
any of
they're
them.
going to be releasing all the episodes in black and white as well. Just cause. Yeah.
Yeah, I always love that if that's going to be good. Like some films where, like, say, I understand The Mist being in black and white.
Oh, that
made
was
sense,
really
but then,
good.
like, Mad Max Blood and Chrome,
Didn't see
I
that.
think just seemed like a cheap knock into.
That was cool.
But it's like
That
the
was
film was
cool.
cool. The film was awesome.
The film
Turning
was
everything into
awesome.
black and white isn't really like, here's
it's
another chance to
shiny
sell
and
it to you. Like,
chrome,
have you
it's
ever seen it
shiny.
without color? Here you go. You're like,
Yeah.
And Wolverine and all. I know
Logan.
it's a gimmick.
Logan's
Or
noir.
Logan. Yeah, it's a gimmick.
That was
Logan
cool.
Noir.
That was cool.
Like,
that was really cool. The Mist was good too, in black and white.
I do like black and white.
But see, The Mist was made to be in black and white, so I get that.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. Darabont originally wanted to do it in black and white,
Really?
so that was part of his thing, that he wanted people to see it the way he wanted it to be.
Holy
So
shit, okay.
it wasn't like the other way around where they just
Yeah.
after the fact. That was very important to him
Wow, okay.
about it.
Ah,
So
interesting.
I didn't know that.
And he fought to have it released in the cinemas that way, and they refused because they were like, people aren't going to go and see a black and white film. So that's why that was an interesting one. Like that was
And
actually his
now-
vision of it. Before we jump on to Pet Sematary, I'm going to run through a couple of the films I saw just so I can rant. And
I'm
rave.
really interested about this one.
Yeah, Sharon Tate will either do it before or after Pet Sematary. Just because I got Now TV on one of those deals, so I just made a gigantic list of everything on there I hadn't seen. Mom and Dad, the Nick Cage film,
Nick
with
Cage?
Nick Cage and Selma Blair.
No.
Oh wow. No.
It's worth watching. So it's Brian Taylor, one of Neville Dean and Taylor, who did Crank 1 and 2, his film. It's a fun idea. It doesn't fully work out, but it's the whole concept of something happens at the beginning and all the parents in the world decide that they want to kill their kids, but only their kids. And no one else.
Wow.
So it's like a zombie apocalypse with just that. So all the parents start turning up at school and like running
my
the
God.
fence, and Nick Cage and Selma Blair are the parents of these kids. And it's that whole idea that you're a stressed parent and everything, and one day you just like to turn around and just kill your kid. And it literally follows through on that promise.
Wow.
Sounds like my
That's-
kind
do you know what it is?
movie.
Is there a lot of are they murdering children in
They
this
are,
movie?
they are. Not always as graphic as you think, but it certainly doesn't pull back from it.
Wow.
Like they
Are these
they
young
go
kids,
for them.
like-
oh yeah,
I
I'd
don't know.
say one is probably like maybe 12, and the other
Wow,
one's about
okay.
16 or 17. But it's funny because like one of the girls who's been attacked by Selma Blair, like her daughter, her boyfriend is there, and of course they don't care about the boyfriend; they don't attack him at all.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's an interesting dynamic. It's good fun. They go for it. I would just say it's a very entertaining, like 86, 87 minutes. Really worth checking out if you haven't seen it.
So mom and dad.
Just
Yeah.
on that one,
Okay.
whose point of view do we watch the story from?
Kind of the kids, but it very much knows when to spend some time with the parents and have a good laugh, because I don't want to spoil later revelations, but they do play with that idea, and because you're kind of figuring how are we going to win that one out. And it goes in fun ways, and it does. There's destruction, there's mayhem, I'm pretty sure Nick Cage has a nail gun at some point.
Amazing.
It gave me what I wanted from that film, and I was
Yes.
surprised by it. So I think
wanna see
definitely worth
that.
checking out.
Awesome, will do.
Insidious 4. I
Is this the
hated
one with
Insidious
the fingers?
3.
Oh,
And
yeah,
the key
yeah,
fingers.
yeah,
I
key
still haven't.
face.
See, I
Insidious
still
3
haven't
was
seen
like
it.
3
Oh,
so
it's a
bad.
joke.
Yeah.
We went to see it.
It
Do you remember?
really, really annoyed me.
like-
It was the worst jump scares. It was everything. I am not going to tell you that Insidious 4 is like a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination, but it was Lee Whannell, again, came back and wrote this one. And it's sort of a prequel story for Lin Shaye's character, the psychic woman who's the
Yeah,
main kind
yeah.
of one throughout it. What it does is it pulls back way on those jump scares, which is great. Like there's a couple of them, but nowhere near as bad as current Blumhouse output. And it just genuinely has, I would say, 6 or 7 scenes, especially the first 45 minutes. I was nervous. I was genuinely creeped. And it is your kind of straight up ghost story, but it knows what it's doing. It builds up suspense and tension, and it does it well. And then you get a bit of a jump at the end. But it actually tried. And I thought, it is worth watching. The story does kind of fall apart as it goes on. But for a part 4 of a series, it's pretty good. And if you were avoiding it because you didn't like 3, give it a chance. I actually think it is worth watching. 2, I didn't like when I
was
first
a
saw it, but
comedy.
rewatching it was kind of okay.
Because I put the first Insidious up on a pedestal.
I think the first one's better than Conjuring.
I
I think it's the you know.
We're not allowed to high five, but I want to.
Why aren't we allowed high five?
Because I was told
'Cause
I'm
we're
not
wrecking
allowed
the
to
mics.
to make loud
Because poor
noises.
Stephen has to mix this. Yeah, I
But,
agree.
Yeah, so I've been after Insidious 2. I've been like, no,
Yeah.
don't want to because.
Did
the
you not
first,
like Insidious 2?
It
was
goes
a
sillier.
comedy. It was like I thought the first Insidious was landmark. It was
That was brilliant.
Well, it brought
Mind
James
blowing.
Wan back into the consciousness.
Yeah.
It put Blumhouse on the map after
It did.
Paranormal.
Yep.
Like it made it a. Yeah, I think the first one is genuinely one of the best ghost films, and I do
Definitely.
prefer it to the Conjuring ones. Let me quickly jump on because I've seen a few. Nightmare on Elm Street remake is still terrible.
Why
I
did you mention
I
that?
do have to
Did you
say,
rewatch that?
Yeah, I rewatched it.
Jackie Early Hurley. I can't.
Earl Haley.
Yeah.
He was a good call.
He was a good
But the
shout,
film is
but
not
that is
good.
awful.
It
And
really-
I do like your man, that weird looking actor. Sorry, I don't know your name, but the weird looking
he's
actor. You never know. He hasn't been in a movie.
Weird guys
in a
all over the world are
while.
going, is it me?
He was pretty interesting in terms. Like I think.
Is this the guy from Watchmen who plays Freddy?
No, that's
He
Jackie.
plays Freddy,
Yeah.
but I think, are you thinking of the guy from Cronenberg's son film,
From the Haunting in Connecticut. Or
yes,
Haunting
and he
in,
was
yeah.
in Byzantium as well.
I haven't
wasn't
seen
he?
Byzantium, yeah. But
yes, yeah, no, he's
another
good.
redeeming.
But like, I just think there's always going to be room for a new Nightmare film.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
definitely wasn't it.
Yeah,
It
agreed.
is amazing when you take those films that you have the perfect template in front of you.
Yeah.
And
So
you make
original.
something that just doesn't work.
And you got to give credit to the later Nightmare sequels, though, for not that they were perfect and they did drop off, but actually every one of the Nightmare films did try for something different.
Yeah.
They did mix it up and they did go for new dream sequences, whether they worked or they didn't. But of all the kind of franchises, it never settled. I guess maybe you could say Hellraiser didn't settle either, but it should have settled long ago.
Should have settled. Although I like the one in space.
Yeah, 4. No,
Adam
Bloodline was
Scott,
fun.
yeah.
I kind of like 5 as well, directed by Scott Derrickson before he did Doctor Strange and Emily Rose. Yeah, believe it or not. Inferno. Worth checking out. Other one, Victor Crowley, the 4th of the Hatchet films.
I saw Hatchet 1 and I like Adam
Green.
I like him.
I saw Hatchet 1 and I didn't really like it. I think I saw Hatchet 3 and I had a bit more fun to it.
Sure.
I love slashers. Like, I am all up.
Yeah.
Give me a
Yeah,
90-minute
yeah.
fun slasher. I am so done with the whole... It's kind of ironic. We're sort of just playing with it. The fact that it's shit is kind
Sure.
of what makes it
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
frustrating.
It is. And this is very much the same. It's kind of trying to reboot the series, but it just seems like they're not putting any effort into actually entertaining people. It's just, here's some blood and guts every now and then. And we're hoping for fans just to... They're expecting like sweaty 40-year-old men to watch this. I don't think they're expecting any teenagers to watch this and fall in love with slashers or this franchise.
Yeah.
Did you see his film Digging Up the Marrow?
No.
It's like a found footage, and it's kind of like it's.
I'd be curious about
in
that.
it. Him and his other filmmaker buddies are in it, and they've come across this guy who claims to have found like a real monster. You know, it's very kind of like a mockumentary more so, I suppose, than found
Would you
footage.
recommend it?
I'd recommend it. Yeah, it has
I'd
a
check
couple
that
of good
out.
scares on Digging Up the Marrow. Yeah,
Cool.
Have you seen his? My favorite of his films is Frozen.
Yeah,
Actually, I was going to say that's a good
That's
film.
one of those
I think we've mentioned that
bottle
here
movies.
Is
before.
that the one on the,
On the
chairlift?
lift, yeah.
Yes, that scene with the
stuff that-
wolf.
But that's one that just, it took its confined thing.
Yeah.
It did it well. There was suspense,
Yeah.
tension. It was gross. You were kind of freaked out. And you could really feel the, what would I do if I was
So-
in
Yeah,
that situation?
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
which we don't get enough these
Yeah.
days. So that's, when you see that, you're kind of going, wasted potential. This guy could do
It's one of those
better
movies
films.
that, you know, kind of like that escape room kind of thing where it's like, I know what I'm getting with this type of movie. Like, I'm going to sit here and watch it for an hour and a half and be entertained. Like, it might not be amazing, but it's going to be good. Like,
Can I just say, just on unsettling things, I watched finally The Cure for Wellness last
Oh,
night.
Oh, yeah, I
actually
saw
watched
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
talk
And-
about that.
A lot of style over substance, which I normally
Yeah.
love. Yeah, no, I was well unsettled with that film.
It's
oh
like
my
a 2 hour,
God.
40-minute film. And I would
Yeah.
say there's actually loads of stuff I loved
Me
in
too.
that film.
Me too.
100%
But
agree.
it's too long and it
kind of
loses
loses
its way.
itself. Yeah.
And I was fed up by
and
the
like
end,
that
but there's
moment with Jason
great
Isaac-
stuff in there.
There is, isn't there? That moment with the shoving the thing down his throat.
Yeah.
Like, and you could hear it going all the way down, and then you could see the eels.
Cow biopsy was pretty
like-
good too.
yeah, like I remember visually in the first
good.
5 minutes, I was like,
Stunning.
shit, I like this. I
Yeah.
think I'm
Right?
gonna. They think this is my type of movie, and I like that actor Dane DeHaan. Is
DeHaan,
it?
yeah.
I like that guy. And
He's
then
amazing in it.
I remember just like after 2 hours, I was just like, I don't know what's going
You
on.
check.
here.
You
It's just-
check
I'm
in.
just not-
I think it's because you check in and out because
Yeah.
the story does lose its way. But then there's these moments
then
that
it's
are
good again,
literally
yeah.
where
Yeah.
they literally get under your skin, and you're like,
And it is visually
get out of there.
beautiful.
it is
It
definitely
is
style
so
over
striking. The
substance.
building's amazing. Even when they arrive there,
Yes.
you're like, I just want to see them walk around this place for a while
Right.
because it's so impressive. I think that's actually, it was a real missed opportunity, but
It
really
was,
worth,
definitely.
still really worth checking out.
It
I
is.
think.
100%.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that actually.
It is definitely kind of one of those. It makes the hairs on the back of your head stand up.
Then
Or
two
neck
more
or
kind of
wherever.
two line things. Unfriended 2 Dark Web.
Oh, I have that at home. I've been meaning to watch it. I haven't seen it yet.
You know, the first Unfriended was okay. I'm curious about the concept. I am one of those people who does enjoy the found footage type thing, and I'm curious
Totally.
about bringing it to the next level of.
For him to say, I unfriend people.
I have been unfriended.
Yeah, and which was the other one though? Friend Request was the other one that came around the same
That was a
time.
different one, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that was the
They're
ghost
separate
one.
films.
Is
Yeah,
this the one where it's all on one screen?
Yes.
That's Friend Request, is it?
that's Unfriended.
okay.
Oh,
Which was
wow.
originally called Cybernatural, which I think is a very cool name.
That is a sweet ass name. That is
The
amazing.
original Unfriended, yeah. So the whole thing was it takes place on someone's desktop.
I
and you're
enjoyed
seeing
that
these
film.
things. It was okay. Yeah, I just felt too cheap. It didn't quite do it for me.
Sure.
Open Windows is by far the best one-screen computer one. Elijah Wood again, actually.
What
Directed by the
about-
guy who directed The Ring, right? Hideo Nakata, I think? Or...
I haven't seen that, but what about
That's worth
Searching,
checking out.
which came out last year? Did you
I
see
haven't seen that,
John
no.
Cho, very fucking
Yeah?
good. Not a horror movie, but it's all done through the one computer screen.
Okay,
kind of
cool.
thing.
Because it's an interesting
very
concept,
good.
this whole
Yeah.
sharing things and
Yeah,
people going
yeah,
on different
totally.
things. Unfriended 2 it's an unrelated story. It kind of goes into the world of sort of snuff stuff. Again, you know, I'm open to the idea of the concept. This isn't it.
Mm-hmm.
If you like the first one, you'll probably enjoy this. If you didn't, you're most certainly not.
And
enjoy
sorry,
this.
did you say, is it all still on the one screen?
Yes.
Oh,
it is.
right, okay.
Yeah,
right.
so it's again 6 people chatting to each other and something
Okay.
kind of happens.
That's again just straight away. I'm like, fuck it, I'll watch that. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
I'm like, I just want to see how
No,
that plays
you know,
out.
like it's not necessarily a bad film, but it's directed by the guy who wrote the Grudge remakes, actually, and he wrote the
Okay.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D, so you can draw from that what you want. And the last one before we get on to the 2 ones I want to talk about is actually Slenderman. I had to check it out just because it was
talk.
there.
I haven't seen it, but talk about it.
It, you know, because I actually went in because it's like something like 3.1 out of 10 on IMDb.
Wow.
People are savaging it. I was
Again,
trying to defend it.
ignore those
Yeah, I
ratings
know, but so I
because
went in with this whole like,
make your own
you know what,
opinion.
guys are being too hard. This is okay. It's terrible. Like it really, really is awful.
Maybe don't make your own.
There's
opinion.
actually there's virtually no Slenderman in it. It just
Oh,
feels like the
really?
people who made it had no interest at all in any of it.
Creepypasta.
So
jumping on the bandwagon, jumping on the
yeah, but there's
marketing.
no scares. There's nothing. It was just a terribly missed opportunity. I do think though there is a great film to be made with Slenderman.
Well,
but just this
Oh, yeah.
definitely isn't it.
do you remember in The Conjuring? Is it The Conjuring 2?
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
wind-up man
The
thing or whatever.
wonky, crooked
Yeah.
man.
Oh,
The crooked man.
That was-
He's horrifying.
that was
is
when The Conjuring jumped the shark, though. In fairness,
Yeah, for me too.
Well,
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
The Conjuring 2 was
CG
better
eyes
than.
stuff.
Apparently, he was a man in a
Then-
suit, but yeah, it still
really?
seems too
Get
fake to
out!
me.
Oh, do you remember the tall man in It Follows?
Yeah,
Oh,
He
that's
made me
scary.
shit my
Yeah.
pants
Now you're
every
talking.
time.
That
Oh
really
my
That
God.
is a Slender Man.
that is a scary ass.
That is
Slenderman's
a-
a scary idea. It's just this film is not good.
Yeah.
Did anyone watch? I haven't watched the whole lot of this, but I watched the first half hour and enough to make me continue watching it. It's a film called Possum. Has anyone heard
I
of it?
want to see that
No.
actually.
Heard
I
of
heard
it.
it's
Yeah.
pretty bleak.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
I like
is.
Bleak.
But it's definitely, again, I'm watching it. I'm half an hour in and I've no idea where it's going. Like the basic setup, all I can say is it's a guy with a bag and there's a spider in it.
Huh.
Okay, wait, hold on. I'm like pure arachnophobe. What?
It's a guy.
A bag or a box?
He's got like a not a briefcase, but like a little, a bag, like a leather bag
Like a
that he
man
carries
bag.
around.
Like a laptop bag.
No, like
The bag is not important. It's not about the fucking bag.
I just don't want to hear about the spider.
it's a bag, and there's a spider in it. Like, and you see the legs and stuff. But at the moment, all I know is that the spider is a puppet. But
That's like
I'm guessing it might
Magic.
be more than a puppet.
magic.
I'm not
I
sure.
can't remember who directed it.
Quirky?
It's some guy who does like comedy or really light stuff. It's really odd. They made this
sure.
really nasty deep film.
Very.
What kind of spider? I mean, what kind of spider puppet?
Ali, I feel you're missing the point.
I don't understand why anyone would make a spider movie.
It's like if I was telling you that Slenderman had seen the woods, like, yeah, but what kind of trees? Can you tell me about the trees? I do love
And this
What's
is a
these?
feature. It's new.
It's a
is it?
feature.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it
came
did
out
big on the
last
festival
year.
circuit last year, I think, and it just hasn't popped out
Yeah.
on VOD yet, I don't think.
But it's good. It's weird. Like it's but
Awesome.
weird, and it's. I'm intrigued. Like, you know.
okay.
Before
I'll
we
check
do
it out.
Pet Sematary, do I do the Haunting of Sharon Tate or do I save that till
Yes.
after Pet
No,
Sematary?
do
do
it.
that.
Do it.
Well,
'cause
I'll
none
do
of
it
us
pretty
have seen
quickly.
it.
So this year is the 50th anniversary of the Manson murders.
Yes.
The Manson murders is something that I've always taken a kind of interest in. There's something just very strange about it. If you're interested in it, the Helter Skelter book by Vincent Bugliosi, who is the prosecutor, is a brilliant book that gives you the whole insight to the crimes, the prosecution, everything. It's really, really good. I wish someone would make that film. This is the first of 3 films we're getting this year to
They've
do
made
with
a couple of
Manson.
them.
This year.
There's the TV movie of Helter
With
Skelter,
your
which is a
man,
3-hour one.
I'm going to say Jonathan Davis, but it's not his name. The guy who got his guts scooped out from Ravenous, where he was Charlie.
Gotta
That was
scoop
fucking
them
awesome.
guts.
I don't know which one that is you're talking
It's
about.
called, anyway.
This year, anyway, so we've got starting with The Haunting of Sharon Tate. Then the next one is going to be Charlie Says, which is Matt. Who's Doctor Who?
Don't know.
I love how
presumed
you're
you'd
the
know that.
Doctor
Not a
Who
Doctor Who
guy.
guy. Matt
I
Lucas?
think whatever. It's one of the Doctor Who guys,
Okay.
and it's directed by Mary Harron, who did American Psycho.
Oh,
which
yeah.
apparently is quite interesting, kind of one that they're doing.
Yeah.
And then the third one, obviously, is Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So
I love Manson.
The Haunting of Sharon Tate, which is obviously somewhat connected to the guys who did the Bundy one. You're saying. do you know what? It's rare I actually get really kind of sickened by a film, and this is the kind of one. And like, I think
Sickened as in like disgusted by its
it's actually
grotesqueness.
appalling, and,
okay.
it really bothered me. It goes with the whole concept it starts off with and that's somewhat true, that Sharon Tate, about a year before she died, mentioned in an interview that she had a dream that she had her throat cut with the man who she was murdered beside. And that's fine. That's an interesting kind of point to take from it. But firstly, Hilary Duff is not Sharon Tate.
No.
But
again, pretty casting.
They pose it as in they're trying to tell the true story of her, but this film changes everything. I mean, everything to do with the true story of it. It proposes that she was aware of her murder, that she was having these flashes
off. So it was like a supernatural
She
film.
saw the murders happening every night, and she was getting more and more freaked out. Charlie was up at the house all the time.
She was friends with Charlie.
That he's there a lot, and she's very aware of Charlie Manson, and she's very afraid, and she doesn't know why, but she's very afraid of him. To the point where they licensed one of Manson's songs and played in the film, which is very tasteless. And I don't actually mind fucking spoilers, because you're not really going to watch this film. This film goes as far as to eventually have a scene where Sharon Tate fights back, and they defeat the Manson family, and they violently murder them, and they escape. And
wait, what?
Yes, no, I know. This is how far this goes. After really humiliating stuff before, where she's just this moany shite who just goes on about, you don't know.
Is she still pregnant at least?
Yes, she's heavily pregnant in it.
And the baby is like throwing punches.
Well, thankfully they don't go that far. But so they have this full-on revenge invasion thing where they all fight back and there's triumphant music, and they're marching out arm in arm, and then the twist is the camera pulls back and they imagine they survived and they were just brutally murdered.
I was going to say, is it
so
like
their
From
corpses
Hell?
Were imagining.
Well, do you know what the most sickening thing about this though is? And it really, if you've read anything about the murders, because they were so hard, especially Sharon Tate, she was very, very heavily pregnant at the time.
She was,
and they were just incredibly brutal murders with so many stab wounds. It was just monstrous.
Yeah.
This film suggests this notion of, well, maybe if Sharon Tate had fought back, that they would have survived.
Bullshit.
And it's quite disgusting to even think you would propose that notion of, well, maybe she didn't try hard enough to live. And they also blame two of the other members in the house for potentially having invited the Manson family over who didn't. And it suggests so in some way they're responsible for these murders.
Those have been conspiracies for quite some time. Because, I grew up with I love Manson in terms of the way you love Manson. I don't.
It's fascinating. Right?
It's absolutely fascinating. But I think that's taking too much creative license and too much.
There was nothing he was trying to do with it. It was
I think
horrible.
What people are hoping for with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is that, when people first heard Tarantino's doing the Charles Manson,
but it's not really about Manson.
It's adjacent.
It's adjacent,
exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's where you could have a little bit more license to tell a fictional story.
Sharon Tate's sister has actually approved of Tarantino's take. He's
cool.
spoken to her about it. This one, she certainly.
But that's because Tarantino is he's a thief. He'll say it himself. He's a thief, so he's gonna stick pretty true to.
I think he will. Yeah, the only because I think you're right. Because the fact they're doing the adjacent thing with Tarantino, I think is a great idea. However, he can't be fully absolved of this because initially when they announced that film, they announced it was going to be released on the day of her murder, which is tasteless beyond fucking belief. Yeah,
get out.
Now they moved it a week or two later, but I'm sure they always planned to move it, but they wanted that negative press for it. And I just think
there's no such thing as
no
bad
need. Tarantino does not need that kind of promotion, and it was just grotesque.
No,
if you're interested in the Manson stuff, and it sounds like you are, there's a great podcast called You Must Remember This.
Oh yeah, I've listened to some of that. I haven't actually listened to the Manson ones yet.
Yeah, so You Must Remember This. It's basically like a cinema history podcast presented by this woman in Hollywood, and it's all of these kind of dark stories from the old Hollywood era. And within the podcast there's a 10-episode series called Charles Manson's Hollywood, and it goes from the beginning right to after the murders. And there's
so much to them.
There's 10 episodes. Each episode's like an hour long. I listened to the entire thing. It's fantastic. They've got voice actors in doing stuff. There's testimonies, there's recordings, there's everything you can think of. It's all in there, and it's such a comprehensive telling of the story, and it just really gives you an idea of what the fuck was going on in Hollywood around that time. It was sex, drugs, rock and roll, and the occult. People were into some fucked up shit at that time.
They were starting race wars apparently.
Yes,
I think that's probably why the Manson stuff bothers me so much as well, though, because it was all this nonsense of mistaken identity type thing. There was no need for any of these murders. These weren't kind of revenge killings or anything. It was just totally
serving his ego.
Yeah. It was all exactly.
And just in the worst
and
possible
it's
way.
the same way in the Bundy. It's like, but we are interested in as
and of course we're fascinated because
we're
it is
fascinated
to understand how
interesting in the
that happened.
macabre.
That's why I think the Jim Van Weber one, Charlie's Family, does an
Yeah, I
amazing job
remember
of it because it films it like it's real footage
Yes.
in the family, and because
Yeah.
he was crazy at the time, like, so when they're doing drugs in the film, they did drugs off set and he was naked while they filmed it, so they got very deep into it.
Didn't hear
No,
that.
yeah,
What?
no, but he very much became the Charlie of his own film career. It got very
But it's
intense.
like the cult of personality.
That's why it took
I'm
him 15 years to
I'm
finish
sure.
it.
Yeah, it gets.
But you feel that film builds to intensity, and they do the murders very brutally in that
What's
film.
that one called
again? Well, it was Charlie's Family, and then I think they released it as the Manson Family.
They did
Okay,
release
yeah.
it. It's on DVD
When they
as
showed
the
it at the
Manson
Hearthon,
Family,
it had been one of the first
It's
things it was Charlie's
amazing.
Family. But everyone left quietly after that. That and Martyrs were the two films where the people left the
Yeah.
Hearthon silent afterwards. It's worth seeing, but they do justice to the murders, but they were absolutely as sickening as they were in real life, which is pretty.
Yeah,
grim.
I think something like that is completely like what you're saying about the Haunting of Sharon Tate is completely distasteful.
Yeah, no, it just, you know, I've already kind of spoiled on it. You can check it out if you want, but it's not what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So on a happier note, let's talk about Pet Sematary.
Wait, I've got one more movie
Yes.
I want to
Okay,
talk
yes.
about. Well, two. Just really quick. Of
course.
Because I think I typed out an email, but then I think I deleted it to you guys. But I watched two movies, Necromantic and
I've been looking for Necromancer.
Necromantic.
Where can I find it?
Shudder
on
did have the two of them
Amazon
for a while.
Prime.
I don't know if they still do.
Which
What was the second one?
the second movie?
Oh, sorry. I thought you'd said it then.
Patchwork.
Oh, that's a good one.
Which is
seen it.
good.
Follow on to May, basically, kind of thing. Yeah.
Because May is like, I loved May. I thought
Yeah.
May was phenomenal. So, Necromantic, I absolutely adored because it is a super staunch feminist film, even though, it is. Think about it.
If a couple took a dead body into their bed and got
that's
jealous and fun-
That's
that's necromantic.
Sounds like Frankenhooker.
Shoot.
Which
So
one
it
are you
wasn't
talking about?
Mancer?
Mancer.
I don't
No,
know the
Necromancer is what I'm talking
Okay.
about. Sorry.
'Cause Necromantic's
Sorry.
a real weird
Necromantic.
film.
No, Necromantic was.
Or so I've
and
heard.
it's German. No, I've watched it, and I've watched
Yes,
Necromantic
it is German,
too.
yeah. Yes, yeah, I haven't seen that one.
So which movie are we
I've watched
talking
them all.
about here?
Yeah, so-
Necromancer. Sorry,
okay.
excuse me. My bad. Necromancer. And I can get you Necromantic.
Connor's like, I've been looking for that movie. That's what movie we're talking about.
There's a
I
scene-
haven't been looking for that
There's a
movie.
scene with a metal pipe that's instead of a dildo. It's like disgusting. Anyway.
Necromancer.
That's
Necromancer. Necromancer. Staunch feminist film,
Okay.
which nobody has ever, again, what grinds my gears is when people don't, they want to erase the past and they say that none of this has ever happened. That movie is incredible. It's about, it starts off with a woman who, the poor woman, she gets raped, and then she goes to a necromancer and gets given the power to get back at her attackers and all men who do her wrong. And I just think it's a phenomenal film.
Is it newer or older?
It's super old. It's not super old. It's like 1986 or something like that. It's got Russ Tamblyn in it, who is a disgusting human being in it. He's her protector, and he uses his power to to manipulate her into basically, because he was a professor, she was a student, he was having an affair with her, blah blah blah. It's really, really, really good, powerhouse female lead role. Even though she does get her kit off a lot in it, and she uses her sexual prowess, but I think it does it in a very tasteful way. And then Patchwork,
Yeah.
because I loved May,
Yeah.
It wasn't as good as May. It let me down. But it was a lot of fun.
It's
seeing
a good
three
twisted
women.
little movie.
Yeah, it's super twisted. Seeing three women who were patched together. I still don't quite understand 100%.
So this is the guy who went on to do Tragedy Girls.
Okay.
I haven't seen it.
But yeah.
But yeah, so one woman.
Am I sensing a little bit of a Human Centipede vibe going on here?
No. It's it's basically
Build your perfect woman.
This woman had a lot of body issues, and she went to this doctor
okay.
who was like, "I can make you into the perfect woman." So what he does is he takes two women, kidnaps them, and puts their perfect parts onto her, what she liked about herself, and created this one woman. But it splits, and you see the three of them all interacting together. They
Cool.
have a dress up montage, they have a makeover montage, and it's all it's
The three personalities are
the three
conflicting within.
because somehow the
seen this
brains
film.
there's three parts. I don't know. I
Sounds a little bit like Frankenhooker.
Ooh, I haven't
Little
seen
bit.
this.
yeah, it's funny.
Well,
Want
Frankenhooker
a
is like...
date?
Wait?
Want a date? What's the tagline of that movie?
That crack is killing those hookers. This super crack will kill them even faster.
Please
The
always
DVD for
talk.
that, I think you used when they released that DVD that it would talk back to you.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's
It was like a gimmick at the
amazing.
time.
No way.
I think it would say.
Or are you thinking of Basket Case?
No, I'm thinking of
Same director.
Frankenhooker.
Okay, cool.
No,
Like
What a-
your
What a
DVD would
Date
talk
is a
back
line
to
from-
you.
It is,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Sorry.
No, sorry. So it's a lot of fun. It's again another
I'll check that out.
because I kind of I got it into my head about females in the horror genre and how the final girl and everything, and everyone always talking about how there was never proper female badasses, and then I was like, meh.
If for everyone who loves May as well, though, I'd say Love Object is another kind of interesting one to
Ooh,
check out.
don't
if
know
they
that.
haven't.
What's
kind
May?
of a
I
role
haven't seen
reversal.
May.
May, Angela Bettis.
Can I talk about it? Okay. It's amazing. So it's honestly it's probably like in my top 15 favorite films of all time. It's incredible. So it's this woman she's got lazy eye, she's got a lot of body issues. She never had really any friends. Her mom was an absolute see you next Tuesday to her, and she becomes obsessed with this guy who is that babe.
When is this from?
It was made in 2000 and
What's 2000?
2000
or
something?
very late.
Or
Yeah. You're probably right. Yeah, probably early 2000s.
somewhere in the
Yeah.
2000 later 2000s.
Okay.
And so she becomes obsessed with he's a babe, can't remember his name anyway, that babe guy. Then he breaks up with her because she's me. I related so much to her. She's like obsessed with like freaky films and horror films, and she like bites his lip and he's like, what the fuck, you actually bit me and drew blood, what the fuck, you're actually crazy. And she's like, I thought you were into that, like I'm into that. And it's like, oh, that's never happened to me, by the way. But anyway, and then that kind of like breaks her mentally, and she starts compiling the perfect friend because she has this doll who's like her best friend, and she wants a real like human connection. So she starts compiling the perfect parts from people, like the guy that she was in love with.
Okay.
Like she loved his hands. Anna Faris is in it as
Oh, I
the
love Anna
sexy.
Faris.
I know she's amazing.
Yeah.
She's like the sexy like lesbian receptionist or whatever, and she takes her. She takes her arm, or because she takes her Anna Faris's girlfriend's legs to create. It's like and then the thing
Gotta see this movie.
the thing comes to life, and it's just
It was a
beautiful.
really big hit for independent kind of horror
Yes.
cinema at the time. Like,
It's
Just never
awesome.
heard of it. Like,
it's
it's
just
crazy, yeah.
awesome because it's like it's the struggle, the inner struggle, and it's dare I say a bit of a beautiful film in a sense of exploring mental health and exploring loneliness. And
There's a sadness
don't kill
to it, yeah.
people is the bottom line though.
But
Do
if
not-
if you did have to, collect the best parts.
that babe, whatever is. Oh, and Frank from Donnie Darko is in it as well.
Oh, the bunny rabbit guy.
Yeah, he has this weird, like, this moment where he's like, oh, my nipples are hot, and he takes off his mesh. Do you remember that moment? It's really weird. It's a really, really weird
Also, it's
scene.
a mesh t-shirt type of film.
It's like a mesh wife beater, and he's like,
Oh,
oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
God, my nipples are so hot. And he's like, do you have any ice cubes? And he goes to the fridge, and he finds body parts in the freezer, and then she's like,
Awesome.
it's amazing.
That's a thumbs up from Alley Horror.
Gotta see it.
I
Gotta
love
see
that
it.
movie.
So let's wrap up with the film we've all been waiting to talk about, and we're going to try and be as constructive as possible because I do feel like it's all very
I'm
negative,
going to be
but
so
it's honest.
constructive because, as we know from our very, very, very first podcast, Pet Sematary is one of my all-time
Actually, can we give a shout
favorite
because
films.
Pet Sematary, the original film, I really love. Like I
me
love the
too.
book, but I love the first film. I know some people feel it's dated badly. I don't.
It has not dated at all. It is like the reason I have insomnia is Pascal.
Yeah.
My dad showed that film to me when I was out of the womb, and Pascal, because I didn't understand good and evil, all I knew was that was a scary ass fucking ghost with his brains hanging out. So
Come on, Doc.
yeah, he's a good guy now. I know that as a grown up that Pascal
Well,
is a
he
good
is, but
guy.
he's a scary good guy.
He's a scary
Connor,
good
what were you
guy.
going to say?
I was going to say, like, I was never the biggest fan of the original. Like, I
Okay.
thought it was fine.
Yeah.
Now as I see it in it, I can see it. There's a certain quality to it.
I was always a big fan of the book. The book is
book is
actually
amazing.
one of the first kind of
It's my
grown-up
favourite
books I read
Stephen
when I was
Gotcha.
probably like 12 or 13, maybe. Like, it was kind of
Yeah, that was it for me. Actually.
it was like, I read Pet Sematary and I was like, oh shit, okay, this is the real deal. And then I saw the movie and loved the movie. Like,
It's
it was
it's
great.
exceptional.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's
It's
like,
fair to say not everyone does live the original, so I can't quite
sure.
talk
No.
that it's a perfect masterpiece. But for
for
me, it's a
for
great
me,
horror film.
it is.
It's great. It is great, but it does suffer a little bit from that kind of like Stephen King kind of low production value TV movie kind of vibe. In fairness, like,
it like
With acting and stuff, you could probably say,
It
but
does
it
have
works
its-
for
yeah,
me.
yeah. I think my problem with it was, it's got a TV vibe, and I'd have to watch it again, but I always felt the two leads just weren't
But
quite.
their story is so much better than in this version.
And then Elliot Goldenthal did the score for the
and I
original.
know people say you shouldn't
and,
judge the new one on the older end,
hard
but there
not
has
to.
to be some
boo,
kind
boo,
of...
boo, boo, boo. No.
So,
Sauce.
okay, but let's very high end the story. Basically, new family leave the city to try and have a quieter life, spend more time together. They move out to Maine.
Ludlow in Maine, where
Ludlow,
I have been.
yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yes, you have. I've seen
Very
the
nice.
photos.
Oh,
Very nice photos, Conor.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're a very good photographer.
They discovered that at the back of
Instagram
their property there is a pet cemetery. In this particular one,
Spelt with an S.
it is. It's not an accidental typo.
Which is
it's because the
Yeah.
kids
good,
can't spell
yes,
it right.
yes.
In this one, it's a bit more of a Wicker Man-y vibe. The kids have a local ritual where they wear their masks and they
Yeah.
march down there. It's trying to do its own
do
thing,
something
shall we say?
different,
And it's weird because a lot of the criticisms we're going to have of this film are the differences from the original stuff, and you could say that you shouldn't criticize that, but at the same time, the film seems to spend an inordinate amount of time trying to mix things up and throw off people who are fans of the original. And so you're kind of going, are you trying to make it its own thing, or are you trying to play with the expectations of fans of the original? Basically, there is a tragic death about halfway
that's the big
through,
one.
and it leads to
And I just
mayhem.
need to say this, which annoyed me,
Okay.
irked me to no end about Pet Sematary. It got better reviews than Us.
Yeah,
Wow.
Okay?
Okay.
huge hit, very successful.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
Well,
Yes.
This director's a Starry Eyes,
yes.
which
Wasn't
some
a big
people loved.
fan
I
of.
wasn't a big fan
No,
of.
wasn't a fan of.
But yeah. Well, I'm going to be constructive about Pet Sematary because I have the first one on such a pedestal, rightly so. But can I start?
Go.
Go for it.
Okay, right. Okay. So the first thing that they completely went wrong was flipping the gender, which is something that Hollywood is doing left, right, and center, and it does not need to be done. Flipping Gage, who...
Yeah, let's just say...
Am
do
I
you know-
going to ruin stuff
No,
if I
to
talk
have
about
this
it?
conversation, we are going to have to talk
I
about
think
what
so,
happens with
I think
Cemetery.
so.
I'm pretty sure everyone
And
listening to
I'll
this has
tell you
seen the
why.
original
Guys,
and
I'll
probably
tell you
seen the new
why.
one.
Because if you've seen the trailer gives away
Yeah, see, I hadn't
the
seen that either,
biggest
so I had no
fucking
idea.
difference between the two films is the fact that in the original, Gage dies.
Well,
in the
yeah,
book,
so if you
Gage
want to
dies.
find out later
Yeah.
on, you pause this
Ellie
now and
dies.
come back to us.
Yeah.
In 30
so from
seconds.
now on in, we're talking
And
about Pet Cemetery straight.
There's
Yeah.
something so... Like, I know that my fear of children is my fear, but I'm not the only one. Like, they've made that movie, Mom and Dad's, and they made that amazing film, The Children, the British
Yeah,
movie.
I love that.
Which is amazing.
Peter Shankland, is it, or-
and
yeah, Tom Shankland.
Gage was such a scary... Like,
Yeah,
for
so-
him to come back...
Let's think, so it was about a 4-year-old kid, or 3 or probably younger actually.
he didn't talk, so I don't know
2,
how old he was. Yeah.
In the first film, gets tragically hit by a truck in a very disturbing scene and very upsetting.
I
This film
comp it all the
flips that by
time.
having the slightly older girl be killed by it, and it
9-year-old.
plays again with the expectations because it sets up the death of him
Yeah.
and then doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in a way robs us of all the really horrifying tragedy. Well, for me, that came with the original.
Like in the original, there's like the simple, like again, I know it is a bit TV, but there's the slow mo of that foot or not
The
foot,
shoe.
Oh yeah,
thank
yeah,
you.
I remember that. Yeah.
Like in the air, and I comp that all the time whenever I'm talking to writers about like if you want to kill somebody, this is how you do it, and I send them that link.
Yeah.
But
like-
the music and everything and that, the
Oh,
quietness.
Elliot Goldenthal
yeah.
did the score for the original. Who did Interview with the Vampire, which is amazing.
Oh, beautiful film.
And beautiful score, beautiful soundtrack. But but there was something about having Ellie who came back and having her talk back, like that scene in the bed.
Yeah.
That was like kind of like it took away the mystery, it took away the horror, it took away the creepiness because she was.
It was like it wasn't even trying to be a scary film. I don't know
Right.
what the fuck they were
because
trying to do.
even when what's the wife's name?
Oh, I can't remember.
Rachel, yes.
Rachel, very
when
good.
Rachel comes back in the original
Yeah.
and she's like limping, she's got
Yeah.
one heel on and one heel off, and she's got like goo coming out of her
Yeah,
eyes. She's
half her
proper
face is messed
dead,
up. Yeah,
and like
yeah.
blah. And like, and then she's like Lewis, and she's like creepy. She wasn't. She for all intents and purposes, girl was a zombie, bitch was a zombie, right? But not a zombie. But in this, Ellie had like a fully functioning personality,
Yeah.
which. No, because she was supposed to come back wrong as per Judd.
Yes.
She just came
Or
back
as per
angry.
Church. Yeah.
No,
I-
Judd.
but Judd didn't come. Judd's the
No,
old guy.
sorry, as per Judd, like that's what
That's
he
what
said.
Judd
I
said.
say,
Like,
yeah.
And
Well,
I'll
that-
come back, right, laws.
But did you not find that even like this one, they don't even bother? Because in the original one, there was all that talk where Judd tells the story to Lewis
the
about
soldier.
the guy coming back.
I missed
you
that.
see
And he
it.
realizes after Gage gets killed that he's
Yeah.
like, Lewis, don't. I know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
I know I keep putting all these ideas in your head, but stop
This
thinking
one,
these
though,
things that I'm telling
there's
you.
no even lead up where it looks like Judd is aware or is going to stop him. And
Yeah,
he just
yeah,
goes
yeah.
over and drugs the
drugs
shit
him.
out of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I think what happened there was they cut out that scene.
Possibly.
Because did you see
something
that?
has to
It seems
happen.
really
Because
ridiculous.
he's
Like-
just all of us, because we were like, what, did Judd just fall into the fire? Or did he freeze to death? Like, he just left the man outside in front of a bonfire. Like,
Yeah, because there was no sense that
There's no
like,
build up to that.
no,
that
agree.
you felt like he could have gone to the cemetery and you never would have seen him.
Yeah,
like,
That's
unless
it.
he was,
Well, that's it. It's like Judd wasn't stopping him at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
I have to say, though, about it being Ellie over Gage, I felt, again, the trailer gave that away.
Yeah.
So I felt it would have been a serious gut punch if I was watching the film, expecting it to be Gage as per
Yeah,
the
see, it
original.
wasn't for me. I felt.
I was
then-
I was expecting it to be Gage.
Oh, so was I. Yeah,
You
but,
would be if you hadn't seen the trailer.
but were you shocked by? When,
I was
I
like,
was-
the minute I saw that, sorry, the minute I saw that, I was like, oh no, because I could immediately see what was going to happen,
Yeah.
which was they're going to have to get that kid to come back and act like a
Sure.
creepy kid. And it's like, it was like what I was saying about Us. That was the other thing. I thought Us had the person, they were creepy when they did the voice.
Yeah.
genuinely creepy.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
but for some reason, I just felt it was like when they remade The Omen.
Yeah.
And it was like the original Omen, the kid was really creepy. In the second one, it's like
A kid acting creepy.
acting creepy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's
I get that.
100%.
kind of
Yeah.
What I liked about it being Ellie in this version was the fact that they got to progress the idea of what happens when you come back a little bit more so than the original. We're getting a little bit more information from like
There's more talking about it, but I was actually more upset because, like in the original one, it's based on his actions. You realize the tragicness of it, especially because I believe that dad actually cared a lot more. And
What,
there's
the
something,
old Lois Creed, not the Jason Clark one?
yeah,
Yeah, like,
but there was
sorry,
something
bro,
so.
my memory's sorry.
Yeah, go on, no,
I
go
just because I remember being so annoyed.
It
The
was
kid
very
came
annoying.
back, and within about 2 hours, he was shouting at her
Yeah.
for ballet dancing
Yeah,
around
he was
the
getting
room
annoyed she was wrecking the
because she
room.
wrecked
Yeah.
the room, and he's like, I can't remember what he says, but he shouts at her, and you're just like going, dude, like.
But
you know,
what made all the Stephen King films and books work originally was it was around these family things. And what Pet Sematary, the original book and film, had was that marriage had its own struggles already beforehand. Obviously, Rachel was damaged with her own past, but even them themselves and the parents of Rachel hating the dad was a very
That
difficult
was
thing, particularly
missing.
with the murder or like the death of Gage, because
That
Yeah,
was
the
really
it was like it was
funeral
his
scene
fault.
was so upsetting because
Yeah.
they blamed him.
And do you
and
remember
that
they
is
knock over
so
they
heartbreaking.
knock over the
hand
coffin,
in the
and
coffin.
there was
fuck,
so
yeah.
much there was
So
so
painful.
much missing
Yeah,
from this
because
one
that
in
stuff
terms of
horrified.
that.
Those moments
Right.
horrified me because even when Lewis realizes that's happened,
Yeah.
and everyone's crying and stuff, and it's just so fucked up.
It
and that's
is.
where you can understand someone gets to this step
Exactly.
of going
They
to
break.
this bad
Yeah.
place
Yeah.
and doing something. In this one, he was just straight up. He's like, "Yeah, cool,
Yeah, exactly.
no
Just
biggie.
going for
I'll
it.
just pop out, and
Yeah.
we'll have a little wave of the Wendigo on the way, and away you go.
I found the whole pretty much everything with Judd annoyed me in this film.
I have to say he was the redeeming quality of this film.
not-
John
not for me.
Lithgow.
I
Yeah,
think
and I love Lithgow, but
I love John Lithgow.
He
John
bugged me a
Lithgow's-
bit in this as
I
well.
was excited to see him in it. I thought it was an interesting
Yeah.
casting choice. I did think it was going to be difficult because the original Judd
It's
Win.
iconic.
he
Yeah.
was just so.
Do you
he
know
was
my
doing
dad and
the-
I
he was doing
text
the
each
main
other a
accent and everything.
yeah? Like that's like
no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
It's like
He's
it's like
so
like
good in it. Though.
Judd Crandall is like
Yeah.
our
Yeah, I felt
thing,
Lithgow was
you know?
acting well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
From the entire film. He is the thing that I take
he's the
home
better
as,
actor in the
as,
film, is the
as
question.
the thing that I like about
But that
the film.
part
which is
where
one thing.
he's burying the cat in the pet cemetery and he's just happy as Larry, burying it, no bother. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, the cat's dead. It's too bad. And then John Lithgow is just like, he's just looking around kind of shifty for a second. He goes,
Yeah.
oh,
Come with me.
Ellie really loved that cat. These are the exact words. He goes, your daughter really loved that cat. And he's like, yep, digging away. And he's like, and you really love your daughter. And he's like, yep. And then he goes, come with me.
Yeah.
Let's climb a
Come on,
deadfall.
It was so tenuous.
I did
It
like
was
the
so
deadfall
tenuous.
being more of a
like
thing
a Star
in
Trek
this
wasteland.
Well,
with
it
the
is because in the
fucking-
I
book,
like it
in the
was,
book,
yeah.
the deadfall is very much a big thing, and
Yeah.
like climbing over, and like I still like the idea of the loons and everything, which is
Yeah,
in the
I like
book.
that.
In the book,
Yeah, they
it's-
went back a bit. I have no problem with that. The
there-
burial ground looked like a cheap set from
Oh,
Star Trek: The Next
sweet
Generation.
Jesus
The steps up to
Christ.
it, yeah.
What all the mess? But okay,
the
wait,
lightning.
hold on.
It was like there was that. Not
What's
happening.
wrong with
Two-
having the Micmac burial ground? Are we that far that we can't have
Two
any?
things that we need to super discuss was the complete and utter like lack of Pascow.
Yes,
Um,
because he is so important
know.
to me in the original film.
So
Because he
important.
scares me, and yet he's there to help. But you
Right.
can't tell what his intentions are.
Yeah.
Right.
He is scary, and yet he seems to be kind of helping, and it's just unclear until quite late on whether it's even good
Yeah.
intentions or
Yeah.
not. He really
But
gets
he-
me
and he's-
because there's
he's-
no logic or reason on why or anything.
He's just there to be a guide, a
Yeah.
spirit guide, whatever, and he is not in. He's in it like
He's barely
for
in this one, and yet they
tw-
expect you to remember his name later
I know.
on when Gage is
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about him. They're kind of going, "Yeah, you know, Pascal," and you're kind of going, "Only because I saw the other film."
And like in the
good point.
original, when they're driving, when Rachel and Ellie are driving back, and Pascal's in the
there.
back, and like you see that
his
in
head
the
is
I know,
open.
which I'm sorry, but that was such good. Like I follow loads of like horror things on Instagram, which you should do. Instagram Connor
Connor,
Nine,
are you on
McMahon.
Instagram?
Yeah, Conor Dowling.
and like
I really hope that's my
it was
Instagram.
it was so like the way he died was so I know that's terrible, but so underwhelming.
Yeah.
It was like there was
No need for it to be in this new film, bar the
Right.
fact that it's in part of the story of
Thank
the originals. There was no
you.
value to
Thank
this
you.
particular story.
Yeah, and I really missed the
Yeah.
presence of Pascow. Like that is
So
one of,
you've lost the tragedy of Rachel's parents hating the dad, which is very
Yeah.
tough. You've lost the meaning of Pascal. The one bit that actually really fucked me off was
Zelda.
Oh! Zelda was like because and in the book and in the original there's something because we can all understand the fear of a child where you don't understand disease
Yeah.
and the responsibility and all those things, and I actually thought obviously Zelda's very disturbing looking in the original film, but it's a very debilitating. It's like
spinal meningitis, which is not a real thing. I looked it up because I was like, can that happen?
Thank God it's not a real thing.
What I thought they did so well with that was it's how it feels to be a kid in that situation
Yes.
and the guilt and everything that comes with
Do you
it.
mean in the original?
In the original.
Yes.
And what they did with this one, firstly, again, they seem to have no value on why, even if you're going to change it, they didn't even seem to understand why that bit was so affecting
Yeah.
to people. They just thought, she kind of looked gross. That was
She
their
didn't even
go-to.
look that gross.
And it wasn't the fact that it's Rachel's fear of her in the room and fear of being left alone and responsibility.
death.
That was enough. It was like, no, she has to fall down the fucking lift.
The
thing. It's
lazy
'cause
waiter,
They had
dumb
to, they had
waiter,
to,
yeah.
to whack it up a bit more because
Yeah.
that, and you're like, it completely missed everything to do with
And
it.
it took away like, what does she say? Like, what does Zelda say in the original? That thing, what did she say?
He's looking at you, kid.
Rachel!
Yeah, but
Your back will be like mine.
yeah, but there's that chant that
that
she
was
does.
so stupid.
Yeah.
No, in the but
I
in
can't-
the,
I can't
In the
remember.
original, she says something, or he, because it's
It was a
it's
man who
played by
played it.
played by a man.
Stephen King's cameo. Actually.
Because he does cameos.
Stephen
He
King
was
does
the priest.
cameo.
I
He's
was
a priest.
expecting a Stephen King
But
cameo in this.
He wasn't. He didn't do a cameo in
No.
this one
Yeah.
because he probably disowned it because he was like,
No,
shite.
I'd say Stephen King liked this. I think Stephen King.
It
liked
was
this.
so far from the
Well,
book.
he says he
It
likes
was-
everything, but he likes the paycheck that comes with the thing.
Yeah,
I think
that's
long term
true.
he talks a bit more
I
honestly
have to
about
say,
the films.
with Zelda, I was expecting them to butcher the whole strand of Zelda, but I actually feel like
They
it worked
did.
in this
Really?
film. Yeah, I feel like okay. So when the dumbwaiter thing happened, I was a bit like, lads,
Yeah.
that's a bit far fetched. Like
Yeah.
it felt a bit kind of like we need
The
like kind
Ring
of
or The
like a horror
Grudge.
kind of
Yeah.
set piece kind
Yeah.
of thing, but. I felt like it helped kind of flesh out Rachel's character to the point that by the time she was face to face with Ellie, I knew why she was so terrified, other than, oh, my daughter's a zombie coming at me. I got the sense that she was this character on the edge. Like,
Well, yeah, she's the one who acts anywhere near slightly believable when she sees her resurrected kid.
that's
She's like,
it.
Yeah.
fuck that.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's been because
Yeah.
the groundwork has been laid all through that
But
B
I think
story.
that her tragedy again in the original is so much more heartbreaking
It is.
because it's just from this she can't face up to death and she just wants her
Yeah.
child to not know what death is because it
Exactly.
damaged her so much. I guess because it's not such a
Yeah.
huge scene or such a over the top thing like falling down
Yeah.
the hole that the reality of that is much more affecting because you kind of go, I get it. It's not that this terrible tragedy happened to you. It's just this small thing that burnt into your brain. And how they all deal with talking about death and everything, the death, the church in the original. It is a very challenging thing. How do you bring those things up? How do you...
Yeah,
you know, I
show
just,
your young daughters freaking Pet Sematary
Well,
when they're
or
makes a
like,
lot more
you
sense.
let their pets die and help them deal with death.
yeah.
like.
I thought that scene was so bad as well. You know, where the two parents were kind of going like, when they were talking about the cat and he's going to heaven, and then, and they're trying to have this. Well, no, he's not going to heaven, and it was just this really.
It's much in the original. They have that lovely conversation. It's about you can choose to believe in whatever you want because your mom believes in heaven. And I don't know, but it's up to you. And she's like, I want to believe. And he's like, that's perfect.
Yeah, it's like
much nicer.
Yeah, because I was thinking about films like even Poltergeist. You know when they really capture a sort of parents that feel like humans.
Yes.
And something.
Capture parents that feel like humans.
Well, like
no, you're right.
The conversation feels like
They're
natural,
actually real people.
but it also gets the point across.
like in Us, like that conversation in the car.
Yeah. And then something that feels like a really scripted, really like.
It felt like they were racing from A to B to C in this film as well. There was no even pacing to it.
There was
now,
not.
you might be right, that might be just trying to chop it down, but like it still was long enough for
It was
what it
pretty
was.
long. I was surprised at how long it was.
But yeah, because they do. Yeah, there's no feeling of building up a progression. It just goes, you know, here we are.
And
here
then-
we are.
I
And
also
here's
didn't
your
like
twisty
that-
ending.
The end. I'm sorry, but like
I like the end.
Oh,
I like
Connor
that.
Dowling.
And when the cat jumps up on the car, I was like, nice. That was
Okay,
nice.
tell me this. What happens next? That's what I want to know. Like, what?
Well,
like,
we do know what
They
happens next, 'cause
reintegrate into
I hadn't
society.
realised that because the original does start off with the aftermath, and it
The
starts
original
with,
does start off with that.
and
Okay,
the
fair enough.
opening is a bloody handprint on the inside of the car door and blood running from the car to the front door. So supposedly that's your answer to what happens when they knock on that door.
so is the original film?
No, in the new one
Yeah.
starts
Yeah,
with...
yeah.
Oh, sorry,
yeah.
this is
It
the
goes
original.
back- yeah,
sorry,
no.
no.
No, the
So
original doesn't.
Basically, Gage is murdered.
Yeah.
No, but like,
But then why
Then
bloody him
what?
up?
Bring
Like,
him
why-
back into
Yeah,
a
I know.
zombie family and they're going to
in-
live like in the house?
But
I think they're going to
exactly.
spread their disease out into the world.
But
right?
it's not a disease.
Well, like, I mean, you know.
It's a lot of
They're
burying.
just going to kill it. It's
gonna kill
literally.
people, bring
And
them
the
back,
stone is.
and the
like
dead will walk the earth.
But see, if you're going to
That's
do that,
pretty
there has
scary.
to be some sense of... Because I think what they were going for this one is the idea that it's the dark spirit up there that's bringing them back, does want to spread and come back to Earth. But that's not in the film. That's something I
No.
had to try and pull out of. Maybe they were going for it.
And
I
also,
hated the ending. And I know
hated
they had
it.
3 endings, and they're like...
They had 3
They had
endings.
3
Did
different
they?
endings, and they're like, they're all brilliant. This was the most dark, but we tested them, and the audience liked the most dark one. And sometimes when you're making a film, you have to realise that other people know the ending they want to
And
have. And I was
that
like,
is
you
why
fucking
it
idiots.
got better reviews because the audiences.
It's not... You can't pick your ending of the film based on committee.
Okay.
It's
It was
not an
so-
ending.
People don't know what they want.
No, they don't.
I'll tell them what they want.
As Henry Ford
They only
said,
got
if he
smack
asked
in the
people what
face.
they wanted, they'd want a faster horse.
And
It's just like-
also, just another thing, the poor cover of the Ramones version of Pet
Oh,
Sematary
yes.
at the end.
I thought bonus points for that. I knew they weren't going to use the original Ramones, which is iconic and beautiful.
It's amazing.
But doing a cover of it makes sense.
Yeah, but like,
Doing a
But
cover.
if you
it was
love
like-
the original so much that you're doing all these things, like, what have you done to this film? And I think they should have gone for something different, and it doesn't have to be what we always
Totally.
like, but
Yeah,
I
agreed.
can't reconcile in my head so many, like when you watch the Carpenter's thing against the original thing, I get it. You love the concept of the other one, you wanted to do something different, but like you clearly love that and you got what made the first one creepy. In this one, I'm like, you clearly didn't love that film the way I love that film because you seem to recognize none of the qualities in it for me.
Well, for me, when I first saw the trailer or even heard they were doing a remake of Pet Sematary, I was like, oh, here we fucking go. Like, you know, here we go. They're gonna
Yeah,
fucking...
and I was open-minded.
really excited.
You were open-minded? Oh no, I was
The two of us
I
were
was
like-
the opposite. I was
Yeah,
like,
we're
I was
so
like,
polar opposites in this.
they've just basically looked at a list of horror movies that were successful.
They've just greenlit every Stephen King one they can.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and they've just
yeah.
said, yeah, now it's time to do Pet Sematary, and
Yeah.
we'll just get a bunch of money and make this movie. And then I saw the trailer, and I saw those kids banging the drums, walking into the forest, and I wanted to erase that movie from existence
I know.
before it hit the
And that
theaters.
was-
I think a
The-
Wicker Man vibe would have been better in this than what they
well,
did with it.
if they
but-
were going to do it, they should have fucking
Done
like
it.
followed through.
it just dropped.
It's just so in the film. It's just this scene of these random kids.
Yeah.
Who are they?
Yeah.
Who cares?
There's
I
nothing
don't.
more to it. It's just, here's a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then later on, she comes back and she's got the mask on, and it's kind of like, oh, a scary mask. So having said all that, that frustrated me.
Yeah.
But I liked the film.
So would you say thumbs up?
I liked the film. No! It was like, I didn't love it, but it was fine. It was fine. And you know, to be honest, I think I came into it with low expectations. You guys were all saying like, oh, it's terrible, it's so bad and all. And I was like, yeah, just as I suspected. And then I went in and I was sitting there going, right, yeah, this is going to be the biggest load of shit ever. And I was like, it's grand.
This is the point, Stephen, where you just wind his mic down.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I mean, again, you're entitled to your opinion.
Even after
But it's
everything
wrong.
we've said.
No,
After everything we've said.
So coming next week, the new format with only 3 people on the show.
Because again, I'm not going to devalue your experience.
Thank you, Ali.
I'm not going to do it. Because that is not what film is about.
Yeah, but no, look, I see a lot of problems with the film as well, but not enough to make me hate it, you know what I mean? And I did have a satisfying cinema experience, and there were people fucking screaming in the cinema when I went to see it.
See, that's
when
what-
he's,
like, for me,
when he's
there's very
brushing
little
her hair.
scare.
He's
Yeah,
brushing her
that's
hair in the
the
back.
best bit.
People,
Yeah.
there was a girl behind me, and she made such a fucking...
The bath scene is
Noise.
gross. There's no question. Like, so like they got 1 or 2 bits, but like I was amazed how little. If you're going for the horror audience, the teen audience, I
Yeah.
thought you'd be leaning more even to the bad Insidious 3 with more jump scares or something.
Sure,
They seemed to like it was going for a tone of dread as opposed
There
to
was one great jump scare where the truck drove
Oh my God, Connor jumped
The first
twice.
time,
Oh, at
yeah.
the start, yeah.
Connor jumped
Cat nearly
twice.
had a heart attack at that moment.
Literally, McMahon was like, it's like the scariest thing about that film is a freaking truck.
Or when Pascal fucking jumps up in his seat at the start,
No.
he's like taking off his glove, and Pascal
are
jumps
you
up.
kidding me?
I
No.
shit my pants a little bit, just a little bit.
I justice for Pascal, justice for Zelda. Hashtag.
Here's what I want to
Can we
know.
high five that?
Here's what I want to know. What would happen if you buried Zelda in the pet cemetery?
Well, she
No,
was.
I would watch that fucking film.
Are we going to do a
And the
game?
guys from Starry Eyes going, "We're in, lads."
Never be rid of me. That was what she said.
Oh yeah.
Oh
cool.
shit! Yeah. I remember the book, reading that and being like, I hope that fucking never happens to me. That is horrendous.
I know,
Like,
and I literally had to look it up because I was like, Spider-Man is eyes. I never want to get
And
that.
wasn't it that like that's the interesting thing with the original Pet Sematary, because for a long time no one was going to make it because of the death of a kid. That's why I'm pissed off with the switch on this one, because most films nowadays are not brave enough to deal with the tragic death of a young child.
Yeah.
The same way even a lot of the releases
Except
of Dawn
for
of the
Mom and
Dead
Dad,
cut out the
apparently.
scenes with like little kids
baby?
being shot. After the Dunblane massacre, they removed it from the
okay.
ancients. And I get to some extent certain respects, but it scares me that certain things are so off limits, like that kind of stuff. In the original one, though, they weren't even going to make that film. It was just because they had the writer's strike at the time, and the studio had no other scripts that they could go with. So they just pulled it out of a drawer and they just said, "Oh, I guess we'll give it a go." That's kind of why it has a bit of that TV sort of feel.
Right.
It was a thrown together thing at the strikes, and we would have been robbed of that film. Because there's something, for me, again, very upsetting about resurrected Gage.
Oh yeah.
In the house, and
Yeah.
especially when
'Cause
he's
he's still
killed, the whole
innocent.
"no fair, daddy, no fair," and
Yeah.
when he falls
Yeah,
backwards and bangs it, like,
Exactly.
it's just
Yeah.
It is
very
because he's
creepy.
innocent, but he's also like the devil.
Yes,
Do you know what I mean?
but he doesn't have superpowers. He's not bouncing off of walls. He is still a vulnerable child.
And Judd's Achilles heel. That was
Yes.
that was like, you know.
And again, they set this one up to play with people's expectations.
yeah.
Where you're like, either you're making it for the new audiences or you're making it for the old ones.
Yeah.
You this film was neither for me.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how it stands up in time. I think it'll be a totally forgotten remake.
Totally.
I think
Yeah,
so.
because original Zelda still haunts me.
Still.
The images of her, but I don't have any images in my brain from this new film.
No.
Yeah, there's
no.
nothing actually that stands out. There's no strong. Maybe the girl in the bath. That's probably
That's good.
the-
Judd
I
getting
thought-
left by the bonfire and me
That
going,
was
what
funny.
the hell?
that was so weird.
Ugh.
So that's 4 thumbs up for Pet Sematary.
Better than us.
Did we mention Connor's got 4 thumbs?
Because I came back wrong.
2 high fives. Yeah.
Yes.
So shall we wrap this beautiful lady?
Yep, I think that's it for
So yeah,
this month or two.
Well,
bi-monthly.
possibly by months I've icon. Yeah, I'd say it'd probably be 2 months. But thanks for listening to us. Sorry it was more positive. Hopefully next time we'll have more films that we did
Hopefully
enjoy.
there'll be more films.
I
coming out
enjoyed
that we
lots
can
of
watch.
them. We had, I think, do you know what? I love this podcast right now tonight because it was the first time that I've talked to 3 people
in months.
in my life ever who liked us, and I
True.
have been literally been told you're wrong, you're wrong,
Yeah.
you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're
I
wrong.
wish we'd done one just after
And-
that, actually, just when it was still fresh in our heads, because there would be a good chat to be
Yeah,
had about it.
yeah.
Maybe when it comes out again, we'll have a rewatch
I'd
of
love
the chat.
to.
'Cause,
It-
I'd have no problem. We could even do
It's like
separate
a
ones where we
Fulci
actually do a
film,
half-an-hour chat
right?
about a film, like kind of what we do with Pet Sematary, where you can actually really
Sure,
get into
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It could be fun.
like Fulci never made sense, right? But we all love Fulci.
Yeah, some of them. Not the Donald
Okay,
Duck one,
okay,
Manhattan
okay,
Baby or
some-
whatever.
some-
Oh,
some of
fuck
them.
me. A New York
Um,
Ripper.
But yeah.
So
Okay.
goodbye.
Ciao, bye.
See ya.
Happy horror out.
Thanks, guys.
Follow Conor McMahon on Instagram.
Instagram.
Conor.McMahon9. It's a guy with a bag and there's a spider in it.